Hello and welcome to What's Renew Yourself with Karma Cleansed Life. Today we talk about sacred ceremonies and especially how you can consciously decouple from your ex-partners. My name is Katja Rusanen and I will be your host. I have an expert of sacred ceremonies here, Gillian Harris, who is the founder of Bless and Clear Sacred Ceremonies. So stay tuned, especially if you have challenged to let go of your ex-partners. Welcome, Gillian. It's great to have you here. How are you
Thank you,
today?
Kathy. I'm wonderful. I'm loving the weather. We need it. It's kind of dramatic, but I love it, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
It's so good to have you here. So could you tell us more about your work, Sacred Ceremonies?
About sacred ceremonies.
Yes, or
I want.
generally about your work, what you do.
Oh, what I do.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I'm one of those multi-layered people, I suppose. I've got a lot of things that I do. So I'm a speaker and I'm an author, new thought minister, goal coach, and spiritual counselor. So
Wow.
I would love to like just say I'm just one thing, but I'm those things, you know. So my business card gets more and more entertaining every time I take it to the printer. But those are the basic categories, you know. So as a new thought minister, just probably where a lot of what we're going to talk about today comes in. I have done a lot of work in a lot of different areas. Spirit is just sort of me through what I kind of feel was or for apprenticeship so that I could kind
Mm-hmm.
of determine what it is that I do want to do. And I don't think I've really decided any one particular thing, but I have had the most awesome opportunity to really delve into certain areas. For instance, transition midwifery. So
Mm-hmm.
I am still a transition midwife, and but while that may not be something do exclusively. It is just one of the things that I could do, which is being a companion to someone as they are transitioning from
Mm.
this incarnation to the next. And I got blessed with an entire like year and a half with that, like straight, one client after another, with the longest one being 7 months. And
Mm.
that was just so fulfilling for me. And it's a priceless kind of experience. So there's that. And then goal coaching kind of came out of just doing spiritual advising with folks. You know, people would come and say, I just need to talk. I don't know what's going on. Things are just not right. And as we talk, we always find there's a goal in there
Mm.
somewhere. And so then it was like, okay, well, let's take that. Let's take that goal and work on that. And as you may know, Katya, you know, you get a goal. Goals are really just they're just the like they're the bait
Yeah.
for the journey, you know, and the journey is where all the learning and expansion and ascension and what can happen. So goals are delicious in that respect. Um, and then of course I do weddings. I do weddings and a lot of other things like that, a lot of ceremonies. So that's how Bless and Clear came about. But I don't want to shoot ahead. Go ahead and ask me more questions.
Yeah. So, was there a specific event? Because your path doesn't sound like the average 9 to 5 path, hours in the office path. Was there
Right.
a specific event that led you to move towards this path where you are in now?
I want to say yes and no, but I'll say yes. Being born, I was born to do this. You know, I mean, my entire
Mm-hmm.
life since a little girl, I mean, has been very metaphysical since the beginning of this incarnation. As soon as I could start to think, and when I remember the first book that I read was on mental telepathy. That was the name of the book, Mental Telepathy. The first book I read from beginning to end, and I was 12 years old. So
Wow.
yeah, and this is a very adult like book too, and so no
I know.
pictures, or anything. So it has just kind of always been a natural thing for me. But um, I know that I got a master's degree in spiritual psychology. A lot of the things that I do, I just sort of I'm just led by
Mm.
spirit. I get that. gut instinct, which is just my soul or, higher self talking to me. And I know when it's right, if I just follow that and it feels good, then I just go that way. I'm like, I don't know why, but here I go. So, so,
That,
yeah, becoming a
yeah.
minister and stuff. And once I became a minister and got my master's in spiritual psychology, I'm like, what do I do with this? And so that's when I realized, there are a lot of people who need metaphysical services. And so
Mm.
that is what got me to start the company Bless and Clear. And I thought also, what a wonderful opportunity to have a place where there are other ministers of with a metaphysical twist, who want
Yeah.
to be looking for work. So it's just kind of a place for everybody to come, the people who need the services, and as well as the folks who provide the service. So
Mm.
that's how that happened.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I
Sure.
really love that you just follow the guidance and you are like, okay, Lord, you go this way, we go this
Yeah.
way. I hear you, and I
Mhm.
do follow the
Right.
guidance. So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful trust you have there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving it. Feels good.
So when you told me about the Pleasant Clear sacred ceremonies, I was just like, wow, this conscious decoupling work. How, what is that? Because that was a new concept for me, and maybe it's also for some people who are watching this video later on. So could you tell more about this work?
Sure.
What it is and what
Yeah.
it includes?
Yeah. Basically, what it started with for Lesson Clear is we've got more than a dozen different types of ceremonies,
Mm-hmm.
including weddings and stuff,
Yeah.
but and there's lots of different things along the lines of the couple. So one of them was the divorce ceremony initially. That's what we
Mm.
call it. Then very quickly, like in our first year, that there were people who weren't married who
Mm.
were in relationships that were ending, and so they were just decoupling,
Yeah.
but they needed to do that consciously, just like in the divorce ceremonies. And even in the early days, doing the divorce ceremonies, we would trust that people would come to us and they'd already worked their process and were ready to peacefully, do that. So we did maybe a few of those. But once we got into like the real work of being able to decouple consciously folks who were not married, and then folks who were married would use the same new technologies now that we
Mm-hmm.
had developed with the unmarried for the married, and it just became this whole other thing. Um, it's just straight across the board for anyone, any kind of relationship. But so here's the trick. We do conscious decoupling ceremonies, but in order to be ready for the ceremony, you have to already be consciously decoupled. So
Mm.
that is like a process.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can only consciously, do the decoupling process for so many people at a time. And so it is kind of cool to have forums like this where we can discuss, how is it that people can get to that level of consciousness? Because the ceremony is basically a way to celebrate what was, what is, and what will be of this
Oh,
relationship. Yeah, the relationship still is.
yeah.
It never ends. It just changes. So, but in order to get to that, because the ceremony itself is made up of love, and so in order to get to that love place, I mean, when you end a relationship, it can be kind of traumatic, and
Yep.
it can be,
It might not be like I want to be in the same room and celebrate our relationship because I just want to get rid of
exactly.
that person.
I know, and that's the thing. So to be able to get to that, and I'm working on a book on that, but there are other books and stuff out there already.
Mm.
And then there are also lots of sources. I've realized that there are divorce counselors, and there are folks who graduated where I graduated from. The University of Santa Monica are great at helping people process so
Yeah,
that they can stay in
definitely.
the level, because that's the whole thing. It's to be able to see essence of your partner and to get
Mm.
that you're still
Yeah.
basically that love, person, people. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit comes up with in my work as well when I do karma cleanse, because it's really like our relationship, how I believe, are karmic, and we are
Yeah.
drawn together in order to learn some lessons.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do not appreciate the teacher. we might be very upset, and that's
Yeah.
part of the learning process, and that's what I help people to do, is really learning the lesson, because then they can appreciate the relationship,
I'm
and then helping them to move forward. Oh, are you okay?
I am so sorry.
No. If you have a glass of water, that could help.
Can I do that?
Yes, sure, go
Okay.
ahead.
So
Yes.
much. I'm so sorry.
So this is something to, with the karma cleanse, can help always with the letting go of the past and detoxing the past and these toxic emotions that we might have in the considering the relationships, because it's all for our learning. And sometimes our learning might be just to learning to love ourselves and taking ourselves away from a situation that doesn't serve. Okay, you're better now.
Yeah, thank you. Don't get the flu. It's awful.
Oh, so thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview, even though you feel that you have the flu.
Oh, I'm
Oh
doing
my.
much better, but once in a while, yeah, you get to coughing and yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Good to have you back now. So once we were talking about the conscious decoupling, and that sounds so beautiful now when you shared that it's actually the celebration of the relationship, not
Yeah.
just like, okay, let's cut all the relationship with my ex, never to see him again, never to see him
Yeah.
again. It's
Yeah.
actually finding the loving and the appreciation what we
Yeah.
once shared with our ex-partners.
What you learned in that relationship, how you grew in that relationship, why you loved each other in the first place is part of the ceremony. To
Mm,
actually dare to go back there and realize that. Because now what you're doing when in doing that part of the ceremony and why did I fall in love with you in the beginning? And hearing
yeah.
and giving that, you're kind of getting back to the essence of the person. Because when we're
Oh,
in that, embryonic state of the beginning of the relationship, we're seeing the real stuff,
yeah.
and there's nothing to cover it up with. There's no shading that can make it painful that
Mm,
we're experiencing now, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. So to get back to that purity is kind of a beautiful thing.
Mm. And what are the benefits that people have told you after they have done the conscious decoupling ceremony? What have Could you share some feedback or experiences from people, what they have told you afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, um, it it's like lifting a weight. I've heard a lot of people say it's like lifting a weight, and so it's like it's a rite of passage, so they feel that they have made this step into this next chapter now,
Mm,
you know. Because of that lifting and because it's positive and because they've basically done this, calling in spirit to bless them and their partner and the relationship and their future, everybody's future, regardless of what, anybody's got planned. Um, there's that positivity. And so with that positivity and feeling just happier, you now are in a place where you can create your own, future consciously,
mm-hmm.
because it's not muddied with the darkness and the negativity and the guilt and the blame and the shame and anything else, it's all
Mm,
light now.
yeah.
So it helps to, while it's unrealistic to think that just because you're going through the conscious decoupling process, that you're not going to feel any pain whatsoever. That's
Mm,
not necessarily so. But what I will say is it cuts it in half,
mm,
at least in half, cuts that in half and then makes it so that the ending can be a blissful place. And a lot of folks are doing this because maybe they do have to interact with each other after the severance. Maybe they're sharing custody of children or pets, or
yeah.
maybe they've got property or they've got things that they maybe they still work together and they still need to, be able to harmonize that way. So it helps in that respect. But then the other thing that I want to make sure to bring up is a lot of my clients have come for their conscious decoupling. They're not married. Their relationship was intense though, and it deserves, just the same sort of effort. But they figure, why not consciously decouple from a few folks at one time? Yeah. So you can gather up a bunch of them, and just consciously decouple from all of them in one ceremonial swoop.
So you have an offer one for many.
Exactly. And when I talk to people about that, they're like, oh my gosh, that is so great. Because the partners don't have to be there. They don't even have to know anything about it.
Yeah. That was my question, actually. I was thinking, because sometimes our process, it doesn't go hand in hand. Like one can be feeling I'm already in the loving place with this relationship, and the other one is not.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to have them there, and in some cases it's not nice to have that person there. And then there are also going to be the relationships where one side does not want to sever, and the other side is like, we're done, So can't always do it, but they're not necessary. It's all about the work you're doing within yourself.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So if there were one thing you could tell people to do, what would help them to start claiming to decoupling, this conscious decoupling process, how they could start this, beside of course contacting you, what could it be?
It would be a matter of perspective. It's about perspective. And know that no matter how painful what you're going through is, that there is light to be had. You have to seek it, and it will be there for you. And I just encourage everyone to seek it, to know that, any of the negative feelings or anything that you're having, that's not your natural state. So your work now is to get to that positive place, and you're not done working until you get there, but it is possible. So know that, and then try to seek counsel or something. It really isn't about calling me, although I wish I was that bionic and I could help everybody in that way. But luckily there are resources around. So I just say everyone stay open and stay in the loving as much as possible. At least make the effort.
Beautiful. So would you have a special affirmation or a message that you would like to share?
I did think of that. You mentioned that I'd have that opportunity, and really, it's a quote that you may have heard, and I wrote it down to make sure I didn't mess it up or anything. And actually, what happened is I in channeling one day, my guide added to it at the end. And so the original quote is that immature love says, I love you because I need you. The mature love says, I need you because I love you. And then this is the part that she added. But in love says, I love you because I am love. Period.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, you can just come from there and realize that no matter what the state is, you're married, you're together, you're not together, he, she, on to your next relationship, whatever, you're still love. And that's the answer. And that's what will lift you to every place that you want to go from there.
That's beautiful. So how could people find you if they would listen to us, this interview, and want to start this process, conscious decoupling, and have the ceremony? So how can they find you? How can they reach you?
A couple of ways. Don't mind giving everything. Our number to our office is 818-224-3003. And then we have a website, which is blessandclear.com. The and is spelled out A-N-D. So BLESSAND, clear.com. So, and from the website, you're welcome to shoot us an email or anything.
Beautiful. And thank you so much, Gillian.
Thank you,
And
Katya.
this has been so eye-opening for me to hear from you. And like, thank you for sharing that beautiful quote from the your spirit guide extended. That was
Oh,
so
absolutely.
beautiful. So I hope that you actually also start feeling better soon, like
Oh,
sending you loads of
thank you. Oh my
light.
gosh, I'm so sorry about that moment. Oh my goodness. But you just kept on rolling right on. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
these things happen, you never know. so,
Right, right.
so that's absolutely fine. And like, thank you for being able to be with us here today and share your powerful and beautiful message. And thank you for
Thanks
all the
for
work
having me.
you do.
Thank you.
So thank you, and stay tuned to listen more. Karma Cleanse Live shows are coming, so we will be talking more how you can renew yourself and renew your life. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.